A'ja Wilson claiming that she was not marketable. She was being held down because of race.
She didn't hold back, and the internet exploded.
The reason that Caitlin Clark was so popular was because she was white.
It's 100% about race, she said. A.J. Wilson. She is complaining.
Caitlin Clark is only popular because she's white.
A'ja Wilson finally said out loud what many in the WNBA have whispered behind closed doors, that Caitlin Clark's meteoric rise is tied not just to her skills, but to her skin color.
Continues to make wild claims about race.
And just like that, the tension brewing for months boiled over. The league's top players are split. Some are clapping back, others staying silent, while fans are picking sides in a war that goes far beyond basketball. This isn't just about stats or talent anymore. It's about race, media bias, and who gets to be the face of the WNBA.
Caitlin Clark's presence on the court is undeniable.
It's because her games are an actual event.
She's my role model. I really look up to her.
And A'ja Wilson just lit the match. It all started during a recent interview when A'ja Wilson, one of the WNBA's most dominant forces, was asked why Caitlin Clark has received more attention than some of the league's biggest names.
Doesn't matter how hard I work. It doesn't matter what all we do as black women. We're still going to be swept underneath the rug.
Without hesitation, A'ja responded with something that immediately sent shockwaves across sports media. It's because she's white. That single sentence cracked open a conversation that had been bubbling under the surface for years.
Whenever Caitlin Clark takes the floor, that maybe is different not only from any player in the WNBA, but from any player in basketball.
A'ja didn't say Clark wasn't talented. She acknowledged that Caitlin is a great shooter and plays with unmatched passion. But her point was clear. If Caitlin Clark were black, would the media still treat her like the savior of women's basketball? The reaction was swift and intense. Some WNBA fans applauded A'ja for speaking what they believed to be the uncomfortable truth.
A'ja Wilson, apparently she's pretty good. Apparently she has won the MVP award in the WNBA.
Calling out the racial dynamics that often dictate who gets media coverage, brand deals, and headline opportunities. Others were furious, accusing A'ja of diminishing Clark's accomplishments and fueling division within a league already struggling with viewership and unity. The debate wasn't just about Clark. It became a mirror reflecting the broader racial and cultural tensions in professional sports.
A'ja Wilson's been in the league how long? She didn't even shake the needle. She didn't even slightly vibrate the needle.
And while the media ran wild with the quote, Caitlin Clark herself kept her response calm and composed. In her usual poised fashion, she didn't fire back. Instead, she let her performance on the court speak louder than any controversy ever could.
It's pretty clear the female athlete that just had a signature shoe released from Nike, what was supposed to be one of the faces of the league. And look, I don't want to act like A'ja Wilson's not a beast on a basketball court.
But make no mistake, A'ja Wilson's statement wasn't just a passing remark. It lit a fire that's now burning through locker rooms, fan bases, and league offices alike.
Caitlin Clark in the WNBA 100 out of 100 times, except maybe it won't. Why? Because Caitlin Clark plays basketball different than anybody else. Caitlin Clark plays it with flair. She plays it with panache.
As the media frenzy intensified, the divide within the WNBA community became impossible to ignore. On one side were those who echoed A'ja Wilson's sentiments, veterans, journalists, and fans who felt that black athletes have been delivering elite performances for years, only to receive a fraction of the attention now showered on Caitlin Clark.
Caitlin Clark that plays different. She plays like Steph Curry. She plays like Pistol Pete Maravich. She draws comparisons to the all-time greats.
For them, this wasn't about undermining Clark's talent. It was about acknowledging the patterns of erasure that have defined women's sports coverage for decades. Players like Tina Charles, Candace Parker, Maya Moore, and A'ja herself have won MVPs, carried franchises, and redefined positions, yet none were ever crowned the savior of the league. And that disparity stings.
She might be right. By making statements like this about racism, she destroys her marketability and appeal. Her innate racism and demand for victimhood are the cause of her downfall. Absolutely.
A'ja's point wasn't rooted in bitterness. It was rooted in reality. There's a long history of white athletes receiving disproportionate praise, especially when they enter predominantly black spaces. From media narratives to corporate endorsements, white athletes are often positioned as more marketable, more relatable, and more sellable. And Caitlyn, whether intentionally or not, has benefited from that system.
Embracing the person who has made people care more about women's basketball than anyone in the last generation, Caitlin Clark.
Caitlin Clark is the all-time leading scorer in women's college basketball, and unlike most of these clowns in the WNBA, has handled herself with grace and class.
The WNBA is finally breaking through to mainstream audiences, but it's doing so on the back of a white rookie, while seasoned black superstars still fight for equal visibility. On the other side of the conversation were those who felt that Ajah's comments unfairly overshadowed what Caitlyn has actually done.
You've made a lot of money playing basketball. You've gotten fame playing basketball in a league where there is no money, if you had to sustain yourself. In a league where there is no fame, if you just went by all things being equal.
Because make no mistake, Caitlin Clark hasn't coasted her way to stardom. She's earned it. Her college career was historic. Her range, her vision, her competitiveness, all unmatched. She led a program to unprecedented heights, brought millions of new fans to the sport, and made young girls across the country believe they could be stars too.
Caitlin Clark comes into the WNBA, goes through college. She has panache. She has style. Get over it. Get over yourself. Enjoy the ride, because make no mistake, it's Caitlin Clark's WNBA world, and Ajah, baby, you're just a hanger on to it.
Her rise may have been accelerated by her race, but her performance is what cemented it. That's what makes this moment so complicated. Both realities exist at once. Yes, Caitlyn is incredibly skilled. Yes, she has earned her place. And yes, the system still favors her in ways it hasn't for others.
If Caitlin Clark gets hurt, this league's right back to 450,000 view ratings. Just that quick. I mean, the players do not understand there is a disconnect between this kind of rhetoric and this league losing money all these years. And it's also why Caitlin Clark gets so much hate, because they're watching a rise in popularity surrounding her, but they don't like the way she looks.
And as painful as it is to say, Ajah's comment held a mirror up to an uncomfortable truth. The same truth the media often avoids. In a perfect world, Caitlin Clark's fame wouldn't diminish the shine of others. But this isn't a perfect world. This is professional sports, where attention is currency and branding is often louder than box scores.
Race doesn't play into this. Even sexual preference, I don't think plays into this. Likability absolutely plays into this. Ajah Wilson's largely unlikable.
And as all of this unfolds, Caitlyn's response, or lack thereof, has been telling. She hasn't clapped back. She hasn't fueled the fire. She's stayed focused on what she always does, playing ball, letting her actions speak louder than any narrative. That silence, for some, reads as strength.
There's only one team and one player in the league that draws all the ratings, because regular sports fans are very aware of the identity politics that has come out of the mouth of these players over the years.
For others, it feels like a missed opportunity to acknowledge the dynamics at play. But perhaps that's the point. Clark doesn't want to be dragged into identity politics. She just wants to hoop. But the truth is, her presence alone is political, whether she likes it or not. Meanwhile, league officials are walking on eggshells. They know they need Caitlin Clark. She's bringing in viewers, ticket sales, brand interest, and momentum the league hasn't seen in years.
That is a sold-out arena. 14,998 people. That's all it could hold. They all showed up in Caitlin Clark's college arena. A lot of this is flat about likability and people wanting to support their team. 850,000 views. All right. It was not the last preseason game, but the one in Iowa against the Brazil national team. Caitlin Clark got 1.2 million views on that game, a preseason game.
But they also know that alienating their veterans, the very players who've kept the league alive during its darkest years, would be catastrophic. A balancing act is playing out behind closed doors, And Aja's comments have forced the WNBA to confront what kind of league it really wants to be. One built on equality or one built on select visibility.
The media was trying to create a circus out of racial things, out of trying to make hatred come up. And Caitlin wouldn't let it happen.
What's clear now is this. Aja Wilson didn't start a feud. She started a reckoning. As the dust continues to settle, a much bigger story is unfolding beneath the headlines, one that goes beyond Caitlin Clark and Aja Wilson. It's a story about how the WNBA is evolving in real time, facing a cultural identity crisis and trying to redefine what fairness and visibility mean in a rapidly changing landscape.
She broke her own damn record, hitting 36-foot-long three-pointers. She looked it sensational. This team looked it great. And I'm telling you right now, they just put the entire...
I didn't plan to shoot that logo three. I know coming into the game, everybody wanted me to shoot one from there. But Steph was like, was supposed to come out at the end of the third, so she's like, give a foul, give a foul, give a foul. And then it was 30 seconds on the clock, which like between 30 to 33, that's like your 2-for-1 range where you have to get one up. So I saw 30 as we're inbounding the ball, which probably is inbounding the ball at 30, probably a little low. But I was like, why not?
With every game Caitlin plays, ticket prices soar, ratings skyrocket, merchandise sells out. And yet, with every moment she's pushed into the spotlight, it seems to highlight just how long other players have been standing in the shadows. The situation has sparked uncomfortable but necessary debates among fans and analysts alike. Why does it take a white rookie to get primetime slots on ESPN when MVPs like Aja Wilson have been dominating for years without the same backing?
Michael Jordan was still selling more tennis shoes than every current NBA player combined. Race has nothing to do with whether Aja Wilson is or is not marketable.
Why are endorsement deals suddenly flooding in when veterans had to fight for brand recognition despite their consistent excellence? And then there's the bigger picture, the way this controversy is rippling through the culture of the league. Some fans are rallying around Caitlin, defending her from criticism they view as jealousy or resentment.
Serena Williams, I believe, is the highest earning female athlete of all time. Serena Williams, a black woman. She also happens to be the best at tennis, which people really care about. As a result, Serena Williams has made major bank.
Others are standing firmly with Aja, arguing that her honesty is long overdue in a sport that has, for too long, buried these racial and marketability issues under polite silence. Even major brands are paying close attention. Nike, Gatorade, and others now face the challenge of diversifying their marketing without appearing performative.
Wilson has a deal with Nike. Her signature shoe sold out within minutes of hitting the market, especially because few WNBA players have big endorsement deals. The idea that American consumers won't buy products tied to black athletes, it's hard to believe it's a serious argument.
If all eyes are on Caitlin, how do they elevate others without simply reacting to backlash? The danger here is creating a league where visibility becomes a zero-sum game, where promoting one player is perceived as diminishing another. That's not sustainable. And if the WNBA wants to grow without fracturing, it must figure out how to uplift everyone without turning them into competitors off the court.
Serena Williams, a black woman. Is Naomi Osaka also a black woman? They make more money than any women's athletes in the world.
Meanwhile, both Caitlin and Aja are navigating this with vastly different strategies. Caitlin, still a rookie, is focusing on performance and quietly building her brand through humility and consistency. Aja, on the other hand, is leveraging her voice not just to call out inequality, but to push the league toward a deeper self-awareness. She's not asking fans to turn on Caitlin. She's asking the system to finally do right by all its players.
She's my role model. I really look up to her.
Why do you like Caitlin?
And she's so good at basketball.
Because she's that awesome person, and she has like a lot of aura, so like.
And through it all, the league is changing, perhaps faster than anyone expected. The media is shifting its tone. Sports talk shows that once ignored, the WNBA are now discussing it daily. Players are speaking up more boldly than ever before. Social media is ablaze with debates, analysis, and support for both sides. For the first time, the WNBA is front and center in national sports discourse, and not just for what happens on the court. It's a complex moment. There's no villain, no simple answer, just a collision of truth, history, and hope.
You know, for whatever reason, they decide to get themselves involved, whether it is actually malintent or maybe they just want to get themselves in the headline. A lot of players got the spotlight this season because of Caitlin Clark, not to mention just overall, Caitlin Clark brought millions, literally, more eyeballs to the league this season.
Pretty exciting. One of the big reasons fans flock to State Farm Arena is, of course, the Caitlin Clark effect.
The best player in America, the best shooter in America.
Watch her play. She plays at a high level.
She's going to break records nonstop for the next couple of years.
She's the only one capable of taking nothing and making it something. The WNBA was nothing before Caitlin Clark.
But one thing is clear. Caitlin Clark didn't ask to be at the center of a cultural shift. She just wanted to play. And Aja Wilson didn't set out to stir division. She just demanded that we finally look at the scoreboard that isn't always shown, the one that measures visibility, respect, and equity. This isn't just about basketball anymore. It's about how we define greatness and who gets to be celebrated for it. So here we are, witnessing a seismic moment in women's basketball. What started as a question of Caitlin Clark's popularity has ignited a larger, long overdue conversation about race, recognition, and the unequal spotlight in the WNBA.
They will recognize, her game, but they won't recognize her impact.
Everybody now has an opportunity to pull up their chair and have a seat. Who's going to be the next face of the NBA? We don't get to decide that. The marketplace decides that. The people have chosen Caitlin Clark. It's an intangible thing, right? Yes, we can say she's a dog. Okay, there's been other dogs. Okay, she's a great shooter. There's been other great shooters. She has it. She's got the thing. We can't assign it.
There have always been the dominant teams. There's UConn. There is South Carolina. I think that the fact that Caitlin Clark started on a team that did not have mind-blowing talent existing and brought that team to a championship really says something about you as a player. And when you are ranking players, you are ranking them as an individual unit rather than a team.
Caitlin Clark is becoming the best player in the entire WNBA, not because she's white, because she's that good. She's having Larry Bird impact. She's been the driving force of the hottest team in the entire league, despite her record turnovers. Why? Because she's that good. She's legit good. She's colorblind good. She's guilt-free good. She's apolitically good.
Aja Wilson didn't just drop a quote. She cracked open a truth that the league can no longer ignore. And Caitlin Clark, whether she meant to or not, has become the catalyst for a cultural reckoning. But maybe that's exactly what the league needed, because the WNBA is no longer just about who wins on the court. It's about who gets seen, who gets heard, and who gets remembered. And as the world watches, the real question now is, will the league rise to meet this moment, or let it divide what could be its greatest era? One thing is certain, this story is far from over. And as long as voices like Aja's keep speaking out, and players like Caitlin keep breaking records, the WNBA won't just evolve, it'll explode into the spotlight in ways no one ever expected. Stick around, because the next chapter, it's already being written.